What's up, YouTube? This is a response video to slideways100. His last video called Cherry Picking, or Cherry Pick, something like that. Talking about Manny Pacquiao versus Brandon Rios. I agree. I think that the term cherry picking is being used too frequently now in boxing. Joker Boxing talked about that in his video, but I actually don't think that Pacquiao versus Rios is a bad fight. It's actually a really good fight. My only issue with this fight is that it's scheduled for a pay-per-view. Now, both of these guys are coming off of losses. I don't know how you go from losing 2 in a row, one you get knocked the hell out, and the other one you lose. You put 2 losers together in a fight and you make it a pay-per-view. Like, that's kind of insulting to the boxing fan. I don't think that's fair for us to have to pay for, 2 losers, basically. But if it was on regular HBO, man, I'm fine with that, About the Broner situation, jumping up in weight, if you think about it, my man, the dude fought at 130 for the longest time. He had one fight at 135, and then everybody was telling him, you need to move up, you need to move up, you need to move up. I would have preferred if he stayed there and grabbed all the belts from all the, the title holders down there, or at least beat the champions down there. Burns, Abril, Vasquez. The Burns, they was actually starting to heat up down at 35 when Vasquez and Burns was about to fight. And, then he could have fought the unified champion, but, that fell apart, so that didn't happen. But if you look at those 3 opponents, Burns, Vasquez, and Abril, they're all kind of in the same boat as Paulie Malignaggi. I mean, they're a little taller than Broner. They're a little longer than Broner. They don't have high KO ratios, and they all present movement. Now, of those 3 guys, I think Paulie Malignaggi is the better of those guys. One, he is a lot heavier, and he's way more experienced and seasoned. I think the general consensus is at lightweight, the guy who would give Broner the most problems is Miguel Vasquez because of his style of fighting. Stylistically, that would be, problematic for him. And I would like to see him fight that fight and then move up so that he can bring that experience into the next divisions that he fights at. But all the guys who were at 140 that would have been a meaningful fight were tied up. I mean, people were saying, well, I know all the title holders are tied up, fight a Jose Luchigan. Okay, let's say he goes up and fights a Jose at 140, but Jose's coming off of a loss to Mathis, and he doesn't have a belt, so what's he really bringing to the table? And he's not a household name. He's not generating extra revenue. Now, Gavin Rees, he has some kind of accomplishments, but he's not really a household name either. But at the same time, Broner's a champion in that division, so that makes sense for him to defend his title in the division that he has a title. Also, jumping up in weight and fighting a champion at welterweight, even if you jump up in weight and fought a champion at 140, that makes more sense than just going up and fighting challengers. I mean, Duran moved up in weight and he fought Ray Leonard. He jumped 140. He didn't fight Aaron Pryor. He didn't fight. I'm not trying to discredit any of the legends, but Shane Mosley jumped up and fought Oscar. I mean, Pernell Whitaker, he had one fight at light welter and then he moved up to 47. I mean, it wasn't that many guys down there, but I don't see, and even if he fights Paulie and beats Paulie, which I don't know if he actually can. I think Paulie has the ability to make this fight go the distance and to pull off a unanimous decision victory because of his mental, and because he doesn't have a lot of power, he's forced to compensate in other areas, in other aspects of his game. You see a guy like Margarito who's power heavy. He doesn't really work on his head movement and his foot, his footwork and stuff like that because he's usually just stalking you. He's walking you down. He's knocking you the hell out, or knocking your block off. But a guy like Paulie, You kind of like last night, the Bulls beat the Heat, and Nate Robinson said something. He said, "God blessed me with a lot of heart and not a lot of height." You know, you got to work with what you have. So because Paulie's not gifted in the area of power, he has to compensate in other ways, in his foot movement, in his ring intelligence, in his jab, in his boxing education. You know, being a student of the game and having the experience of fighting heavy hitters. You know, he fought Hatton, he fought Cotto, and he hasn't really been knocked out cold. Like I think the Hatton fight, it got stopped. The ref stopped it, and Paulie still wanted to fight. So it's not like, and Broner, like Paulie said, Broner's been fighting guys from 130 who came up to 35, or guys who had 35, but because we expect so much from Broner, you know, we say based off of what we expect your potential to be, these guys shouldn't be in the ring with you. But in actuality, you can speculate that all you want, but you still want to see the fight. I think Floyd would would kill Manny Pacquiao, any version of Manny Pacquiao at any weight class, from 130 to 40 to 47. Floyd would beat him. But it's good to speculate, but I would rather see the fight. You know, so you can speculate all you want. Now, even if the tourney goes on as expected, the 140 tourney that Golden Boy's trying to do, you know, let's say Broner gets past Paulie, right? Who's next? They're trying to match the winner of Peterson and Matisse to Garcia. Now, if let's say Matisse wins, Broner already said that him and Peterson they're really close. He calls him a brother, whatever. That fight's not happening. Floyd fight's not happening. Everybody else is on the table. Okay. So if he fights, if Peterson loses, he's not going to go down and fight Peterson for the 40 belt. Marquez is not defending his 140 belt WBO, but Alvarado has the interim, so that's locked up in Top Rank. But let's say Peterson wins and Matisse is down there. Well, Matisse only has a trinket, an interim WBC belt. So why would he fight him for that? To go down and wait to become a mandatory to the winner of Garcia Peterson? Because the winner of that fight is supposed to fight Khan. And in the winner of that fight is most likely going to fight Floyd. So it's like, if it goes according to the plan that Golden Boy wants, I don't see too many meaningful fights for him at 40. Now, what I would like to see him do, so he fights Paulie. If he can get past that test, beat Paulie, and then fight Devin Alexander as his next fight, and then unify the titles there, and then he's a problem at 147 if he can beat Devin Alexander, which is he can probably. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what his next move is. I don't want to go out and call him a duck because he didn't fight, you know, meaningless fights at 140 just to say that he fought at 140. Like, that's not. It looks better on his resume to say I'm a 3-time champion in 3 different weight classes. It even looks good to say I'm a 3-time champion in 2 weight classes. If he fought Ricky Burns or if he fought Richard Abreu, but Richard Abreu, Broner was at that fight, and it didn't sell out. It didn't make a lot of money, and he struggled with Sharif Bogaré. So it's like, how much credit would you give him if he fought that guy, right? If he fought one of the guys at 140 who didn't have a belt, and he beat them, you could still discredit him for that because he didn't have a title, or he's coming off of a loss, or like okay, let's say Lucas Matisse loses to Peterson. You want Broner to go down to fight Lucas Matisse? He's coming off of a loss. He's going to be in the Pacquiao boat fighting guys coming off of losses. Okay, now you could say that Paulie lost the Kano fight. I saw that fight. I actually scored it for Paulie. I had him up by a round, and then I saw on YouTube everybody was saying differently. I looked at it again. I could see where it could win either way, but I think he controlled most of the fight. So I'm like, This fight makes more sense based off of the available opponents, and as far as career-wise, legacy-wise, money-wise, it makes the most sense. So I don't think that Broner cherry-picked or whatever. Let's see what he does next, and then, you know, cast judgment. Thanks for listening.